Okay. Okay, just gonna play. I'm gonna play Telly Blast. It's been a while since It's been a while since I played, but last time I managed to get up to level 196, which didn't seem it didn't seem overly hard. It's just that you know, there's a lot of piggy banks to get rid of on it, and I was probably feeling a bit mentally tired and all, and I only had one life to play with when I was doing it last time, so yeah, that was probably the reason why I didn't do it, but I'll do it this time because I'm elite and I excel at everything I try, don't I, with maybe a legend and all, yes, yes, hopefully, God knows that I'm saying this in a comedic way rather than in a kind of prideful, egotistical kind of way. Yeah, hopefully, yes. That's yeah, because that's why that's why I suppose you could. One of the reasons why I suppose you could say I suffer so much from OCD and whatnot. Where I'll say certain things and then I'll start worrying if it was okay for me to say those sad things and all. Yes, I have first, even though my score here is 100. Even though my score here is over 100, even though my score here is 100,000 less than me last time, me last time score, but but that was a good first. That was a good first try. That was a good first try. That was a good first try for the video, wasn't it? Yeah. Okay, so what we have here is another level where we have to collect the cats, isn't it? And I get a feeling I'm going to have an easy time here as well with how I'm excelling already. Yes. Because the accumulation of power-ups can make this somewhat of a doddle sometimes, the collecting of the cats, can't it? Although knowing me, I'll end up getting overconfident and arrogant, and then before you know it, I'll be feeling the agony of defeat before you know it, won't I? Listen to all the meows. Yeah, I got a lot of them there, didn't I? Had a bit of a trouble getting those power-ups in the end, but all went well in the end, didn't it? Yes. They didn't manage to beat the original score, but I still did well, yeah. So that was 197, wasn't it? Yeah. 100, that was 100, that was 197, wasn't it? Yeah. Yeah. That was 197, wasn't it? Yeah. Okay, 198 now, which I'm also first done. Yeah. And it seems we've got to get rid of some piggy banks here, but also get a certain amount of different colours, like so. Yeah, levels like this, where you've got to get certain amounts of colours, bring back memories of the early levels, don't they? When you'd only have to get a few of like 2 different colours. They were the days when it was nice and simple, weren't they? Before I started losing a lot again as I advanced to the more complex. I thought I saw a flash outside just then. Hopefully it was a bird and not thunder, and not thunder. Yeah. But I haven't heard anything, so probably wasn't thunder. Probably wasn't thunder. Probably wasn't thunder. So there's a relief. Yeah. Thank God for that. Yeah. Thank God for that. Yes. Okay. Let us proceed. Yes. I don't seem to be doing very well, do I? Oh. And I should have got that green power up done when it was a TNT box rather than a Rubik's Cube, because I don't think this will have the same effect. Although, yeah, I think you actually had a better effect than the TNT boxes would have done just then. Although I've still got to get 4 piggy banks though, haven't I? So that could be somewhat challenging, I suppose you could say, yes. So I've got to find ways to try and accumulate those power-ups once more, haven't we? Yes. At least there's plenty of piggy banks on screen. We need 4, and there's 5 on screen, isn't there? Yes. So that could be helpful when all is said and done, if you know what I mean, Sonny Jim, yes. My throat is still a bit grumbly, isn't it? As you might have noticed, we can get less. Yes, I did well there, didn't I? Only 10,000 behind my previous score. Yes. Okay, 199 now. Making Mario Lemieux proud since his best scoring hockey season, he managed to get 199 points with the Pittsburgh Penguins back in, was it the late 80s, maybe 1989 or so? Not sure. I'm not obsessed enough with hockey statistics to know exactly when it was, but I am somewhat in the sense that I know statistics such as like record-breaking point seasons that various players had and whatnot. Oh, I'm just laughing because I find it funny how when I was arguing with someone on YouTube yesterday, watched some of my videos and started apologising to me for arguing with me, saying that he didn't realise I was mentally ill, and it makes me laugh how people come to their assumption when they watch my videos. Yeah. The old me would have been offended and insecure about that and all, but Nowadays, I just learn to see it all for the joke it is, really. After all, lots of the great celebrities are vastly different from the majority of people, aren't they? And so, I find it funny, plus the idea that it's kind of funny to watch when I make a show of myself and people think they're about me as well. Onwards, that's 100 level. That's level 199. That's level 199. Yeah, that's level 199. Uh, uh, and now onto 200 we go. My face cam's still going. Yeah, it's sad because I've been feeling a bit better as of late with my OCD, and yet at times when I feel better, I start um, I start worrying that I don't deserve to feel better because I start thinking about how I've possibly failed God's tests by the times when I've briefly gone back to arguing online, and I start thinking I failed the test or didn't get the or didn't pass in a good enough way, and so I start thinking that I don't deserve to feel better, and start thinking that I'll end up feeling terrible again soon, and I start thinking that I won't deserve any good things that come my way as well. Yeah, kind of tragic, really, but what can you do when you're a psychotic individual like me, you know? But in a way, I think it's fun to be psychotic, yes. And now we need to get these two together here, like so, so that we can do that. Yes, mix them together and succeed massively in finishing the level. Yes. Okay, that was that was 200. That was 200, yeah. And so now we're on to the next map section. Yeah, which looks like now we're on to the next, and now we're on to the next map section, which looks like some kind of water slide at a theme park or something, with a cute pink honey monster type creature sliding down this water slide. Makes me think of the old Takeshi's Castle that I used to watch on TV sometimes, where people would sit in a giant cup and saucer and then slide down a water slide that they would push down and try to stay upright the whole time they were sliding down. And the balls here are nice and cute and colourful as well, along with these boxes with letters and numbers on it. Oh, and look at the sandbox there as well. Makes you think of sandbox games that are like open world, where you can do any quest you want in any order as you roam around and adventure through the places. And that's a nice sandcastle there, very big and almost life-sized, isn't it? So we hope that big tidal wave doesn't come along and wash it all away in the end. Makes me think of a story I once saw in the Bash Street Kids annuals, which I'll divulge into further on later in the video. And there's another another Cookie Monster type creature swinging again. a ride along and the rideable crocodile type thing also. How fun, yes. And hey, we start this with a lot of power-ups, don't we? Oh, but I've got to create these power-ups, haven't I? Yeah, there was me thinking we started with them. But obviously things aren't going to be that easy, are they? Although I do have fond memories of these levels where you have to create the power-ups because I seem to remember that you can rack up big scores on them and just use a lot of power-ups in general. Say, because I'm here with this move, I'm going to get a Rubik's Cube and I think 10 of the propellers by making the propellers appear on the other side like so. See? Yes, I know I'm elite, yes. And since we don't need many TNT boxes, I suppose we can just mix two together like this, and then hopefully I'll be able to get another one quite easily, like so. Yes, I'm the best. Yes. And so now on to the next level we go after this accumulation of score here. Oh, and what I meant to say about the Bash Street Kids story. That was in one of the Bash Street Kids annuals I used to read, which I still have, which I still have. Uh, it was a story in which the ugliest Bash Street Kids character, I'm not calling him ugly, he was just known in the stories for being ugly by all the other kids, you see. That was his claim to fame, I suppose you could say. And his name was Plug. Uh, Possibly because of the strange shape of his face and all. And the Bash Street Kids comics were part of the Beano comics, which were kids comics books, which used to be sold here in the UK when I was growing up in the 90s. And I don't know if they still do or if they stopped doing them maybe a few years back, which is a crying shame, I think. But anyway, uh, in this particular Bash Street Kid story that I'm talking about, the ugliest Bash Street Kid, Plug, I think he was sick and tired of being known for his ugliness or something like that, or maybe he decided to show the other kids how being excessively ugly could be a good thing, because he started showing them ways that his ugliness came in handy. One thing he was able to do, for instance, was make a funny face at a vat of milk in order to make it go sour, in order to help a yogurt making factory produce lots of yogurts very quickly by souring the milk instantaneously with his ugly face when making a funny face at it. And another thing he was able to do in that same story was this incident where a rich kid at the beach had made a big elegant sand castle, but he was crying in despair because the tide was coming in and he was scared he was going to lose his sand castle when the tide came in. But fortunately for him, Plug came along and made a funny face at the incoming tide, and it made the water recoil back in horror, so that the rich kid's big sandcastle could be saved. And they were quite funny, those comics and Bash Street Kids annuals, in a nice, innocent, carefree kind of way, weren't they? To be honest, these days I think the world is too politically correct and namby-pamby for that kind of humour to really fly and be acceptable nowadays, sadly. It's a case of the government not having any spine, I think, and encouraging all this politically correct nonsense that we're force fed nowadays. Needs to come to an end in my book. I mean, there were the main character in the Beano comics was a character called Dennis the Menace for as long as I remember reading them. For as long as I remember reading them. And and he kind of bullied and picked on this group of kids called the Softies, and they represented everything that Dennis was against. For instance, they washed regularly, keeping themselves pristine and clean, and they partook in sensitive girly activities such as knitting and crocheting, and they played with and hugged teddy bears, and even their dog called Foo was an elegant poodle kind of dog who was the total opposite of Dennis's dog, who loved to play and wallow in mud and chase after postmen, and his dog even liked to terrorise the softies as well. His dog was called Nasher, and as you probably gathered from all this, Dennis was very boisterous and had very manly and macho interests such as rough and tumble sports and and like getting dirty and generally being unhygienic and whatnot. I mean, what in some of the stories, in some of the Dennis the Menace stories, it showed that his parents, for instance, had a great amount of trouble just making him wash himself because he thought of it as being soft and weak to be clean and hygienic, and as such, his his hair would be all kind of rough and dirty, so rough and dirty that it would be literally impossible to cut with normal scissors. And normal scissors would just break on his hair, and he would his parents would have to kind of take him by surprise and like hold him down in the barber's chair while the barbers or his dad's cut his hair with like gardening shears or whatever. I mean, you had to love the sheer outlandishness um, and outrageousness of it all, didn't you really? I mean, technically, if I'd have been in those stories, I probably would have been considered a softie by the likes of Dennis the Menace and his friends, being the sensitive, wussy type of person that I am with my little girly hands and whatnot, but I could see the humour in it, and yeah, I'm not offended. I could see the humour in it for the innocence that it was and whatnot. I mean, there was one character in particular that I could identify with who was considered a softie by Dennis the Menace and his friends, and this character was called Nervous Rex, Um, yeah, his name, the Rex part of his name was spelt Rex, as in like Tyrannosaurus Rex or the dog name Rex, you know what I mean? And he was portrayed as a character so nervous and shaky and anxious that he'd literally be walking through the streets on the way to school and places like that, constantly shaking with nervousness and fear and dread and whatnot. And it's funny because in one story, Dennis kind of played a joke on. Dennis kind of played a joke on this. Dennis kind of played a joke. Dennis kind of played a joke on this nervous Rex character by making a loud sound this is a nice pattern, isn't it? When the nervous Rex character wasn't expecting it, and it's a good design. Well, you've got to get just this elephant to the bottom, and you're using this corner that's really hard to get to with all the different coloured boxes. Yeah, but I digress. Dennis made a sudden loud sound. Uh, uh, when this nervous Rex character wasn't expecting it, like maybe he burst a paper bag or something, because this character didn't know Dennis was in the area, you see. And yeah, when it happened, nervous Rex pretty much jumped up like 10 feet or whatever in shock, and then later on at school, like an hour later when they were all at school, nervous Rex was shown to still be shaking violently in shock and whatnot, having still not recovered from the shock of Dennis making the sudden loud sound earlier on in the story. And yeah, I mean, characters like that describe me to a T, and yet I can see the humour in it, can't I, as you can tell. And so I just kind of find it ridiculous these days when you get all the liberals and whatnot in the world who want to crack down on those things and that kind of humour, because I just think of it all as being very innocent and very fun-loving, kind of, and whatnot. So I don't really see what problem anyone could have with it, really. No, I came pretty close there, didn't I? But alas, it's over. Yes, I'm doing I'm doing well, aren't I? Progressing through so many levels and all. And we're 28 minutes into this as well, so I don't know what's gonna happen this time. Um, maybe I'll finish when I manage to complete this level, or maybe I'll finish when I run out of lives. I don't really know, since I haven't really been keeping track of how many lives I've got since I haven't been paying much attention at all. That's very close, isn't it? Almost makes me wonder if I should have maybe waited until I could get those two power-ups right down at the bottom of the screen, maybe. But it doesn't matter because I've done it this time anyway. Yay. So yeah, 29 minutes in, and how many lives have I got left, I wonder? Yeah, just short of my top score as well, but I'm not complaining, since I managed to do the level and all, yeah. And so, yeah, I'd say, yeah, we'll finish the video now, because I could be a while before I lose these lives without what I've been doing, and imagine having to play another 5 levels without the video's already half an hour long. So yeah, I'll call it a video. Oh, I'll call it a video here. So goodbye, everyone.